I used to work night shifts in a call center in New York. The office was in a new building that people whispered was haunted. At first I didn't believe in ghosts or anything supernatural. I thought it was just gossip. But as time went by, strange things began to happen. People said noises were coming from one of the floors. The strange part? That floor was supposed to be empty at night. No one worked there, and the lights were always turned off. Yet some of my coworkers claimed they heard faint whispers, footsteps, or even laughter when they worked late. I laughed it off. It's probably the wind, I told myself. But I couldn't shake the uneasy feeling when I passed that floor on my way to the cafeteria or the restroom. Then there was the bathroom. It had been closed for a while because of a faulty flush. No matter how often the plumbers came, they couldn't fix it. Even after the water supply was cut off, people swore they could still hear the sound of the flush late at night. We joked about it, saying maybe a ghost with a bad stomach lived there. But when strange things happen repeatedly, jokes don't feel funny anymore. One night I was at my desk dealing with the usual angry customers on the phone. My friend Priya came over and said she was feeling tired. She wanted to rest for a while in the sick room. The sick room was a small space with a bed, a blanket, and a chair. It was meant for employees who didn't feel well and needed to lie down. She left her phone on the desk by mistake, and after about 15 minutes, I noticed it. I thought it would be nice to take it to her. Also, I could use an excuse to stretch my legs and get away from work for a bit. When I entered the sick room, the dim light from the hallway barely lit the space. The blanket on the bed looked like someone was lying under it, their body outlined in a peaceful curve. That must be Priya, I thought. I quietly placed her phone on the small table beside the bed and stepped out, careful not to wake her. But as I closed the door behind me, I saw Priya walking toward me from the cafeteria. She looked confused. "Priya, what are you doing near the sick room?" I froze. "What do you mean? Aren't you lying down inside?" She shook her head. "Priya, no, I was just grabbing some coffee." My heart began to race. "But I just left your phone next to you. Someone's in there." We both stared at each other for a moment, trying to make sense of what was happening. Then, without saying another word, we rushed back to the sick room. I pushed the door open, and the sight inside made my stomach drop. The bed was empty. The blanket, which I was sure had been covering someone just a minute ago, was neatly folded at the foot of the bed. The air in the room felt strangely cold, even though the AC wasn't on. I reached for the phone I had left. It was still there, sitting on the table like nothing had happened. Priya and I didn't say anything. We just stood there, staring at the bed. The longer I looked, the more I felt like the walls were closing in. The silence in the room was heavy, pressing down on my chest. I could feel my heartbeat in my ears, loud and fast. And then, we ran. Neither of us looked back. We didn't stop until we were back at our desks, gasping for air. We tried to laugh it off, telling ourselves that maybe I had imagined the shape under the blanket. But we both knew it wasn't just my imagination. Something or someone had been in that room that night. I couldn't focus on my work. Every sound in the office felt louder, sharper, and more menacing. Even the hum of the air conditioning made my skin crawl. Priya stayed close to me for the rest of the shift, and neither of us dared to go near the sick room again. Over the next few weeks, I noticed more and more coworkers talking about strange experiences in the building. One person said they heard footsteps following them down the empty hallway. Another said they saw a shadow move across the floor, even though there was no one else around. As for me, I started avoiding certain parts of the office altogether. I made sure I was never the last person to leave my desk or the cafeteria, and I never stepped into the sick room again. One night, about a month after the incident, I heard the sound of the flush coming from the closed bathroom. I was walking past it on my way to the break room. The noise stopped me in my tracks. For a second, I thought about going in just to prove to myself that there was nothing to be afraid of. But I couldn't do it. The fear was too strong. I turned around and walked back to my desk, my hands trembling. That was the night I decided to quit. I didn't tell anyone the real reason. I just said the night shifts were too tiring. But the truth was I couldn't stay in that building anymore. Whatever was haunting it wasn't something I could ignore or laugh off.